This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Is the man, the myth, the legend. That is Manny Navarro. How are you doing, my brother?
Doing good, oh. Staying up late hours, chasing this Isaiah Wong story and NIL.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah, so what the hell is going on with this Isaiah Wong story? Because it's kind of, I don't know, fishy, strange, whatever. I don't know. Walk us through, because it's one of those where it's like a negotiated deal that he can get a better deal somewhere else, and then apparently that's not legal or something, or for his
Yeah,
appearances or something. Talk to us a little bit about this.
yeah. So basically, Isaiah Wong's agent yesterday, who by the way is also the agent for Nigel Pack, and as well as Jordan Miller. So he's got different guys who've gotten different deals with John Ruiz. Essentially, he went back. Isaiah signed a contract, an NIL deal with Life Wallet and John Ruiz on April 12th. Of course, Nigel Pack got the big deal, the $400,000 per year, a couple weeks after Isaiah had signed his deal. So his agent basically went back to Ruiz yesterday, called him and said, we want to see if we can renegotiate our deal. Isaiah wants more money if he's going to stay at Miami. And of course, there's a lot of red flags about this, because this isn't pay for play, right? That's the whole point with NIL. It's more of a, yes, you play for the University of Miami, and we like having you here. Here's the deal. We're going to sign you to market for us. And so this is the first time, at least that I've seen publicly, that we've kind of had a sort of a renegotiation. And the thing is, Ruiz isn't going to renegotiate. He's not going to redo the deal. And he's basically told Isaiah that, or Isaiah's reps that. Isaiah's not the one who made the phone call, but he's told Isaiah's reps that, and Isaiah's basically threatened, saying, I'm going to enter the transfer portal and go somewhere else. So this is the first time in the NIL era in college sports where we've really seen this play out publicly, where a player is asking for more money to stay with the college team. And that, again, that's a lot of red flags for the NCAA, because this isn't about pay for play. Name, image, and likeness is about marketing and being able to use your status as a player to profit off of it, not for schools to have to bid for your services. And of course, Miami isn't directly involved because Ruiz doesn't work for Miami. He's his own,
Right.
He's his own businessman.
And Ruiz is a lawyer and he knows the law. So he's like, yeah.
Exactly. So I think John, you saw some of his quotes in the ESPN article, and I was texting with him throughout this whole process. And he understands that this is a new sort of venture for a lot of kids, okay, and their families. And he said he's going to do his best to work with Isaiah, but this isn't about renegotiating an NIL deal to get somebody to stay at a school. That's not what it's about. In fact, if Isaiah wanted to transfer somewhere else, they would still honor the deal. The problem for him would be if he's in another city, how would he meet these marketing obligations where these guys have to go into Ruiz's office and film these commercials and these promotions and so forth. And so
he'll eventually forfeit the money anyway.
Right.
And now he's got to find a school that will pay him more than what he's getting now, which he may not be able to find that.
Now, I would imagine, okay, I mean, I haven't spoken to his agent about this yet, and maybe I will hear at some point. He's based out of St. Louis. And I want to ask him, did you get another deal? In other words, did another school come to you at some point, or another, NIL rep come to you and say, hey, we got a bigger deal for you at another school? Is that what prompted this? Or are you simply trying to get squeeze more money out of Ruiz? And so, again,
Wong is here only for 1 year left, whereas Pack has 2 years left. Correct? Is that the way I understand it?
Correct. And here's the thing. I mean, the reality is this is all pay for play in some way, shape, or form, right? And these kids that are in the transfer portal, right? It's just like NBA free agency, right? I mean, the guys that are free agents are going to get more money than the guys who are renegotiating to get more money to stay with their current team. That's usually the way it works. So I think it's just the market, and so Pac he's created a bigger market for himself, being a transfer, being the number one transfer. Isaiah being, you know, one of the returning players, I think just wasn't going to get as big a deal to stick around. So it's all brand new. It's all crazy in college sports, but it's a big deal because nobody's seen this before. We've never talked about this with college athletes before. I mean, at least publicly. I think behind the scenes, a lot of this has probably been going on for years, right? Kids negotiating how much money they're going to get to go to a college to begin with. But it was all under the table. Now it's out in the public. And so I think all of us, that have covered sports and just fans in general, there's a lot of them that are appalled by this. That just think, man, this is ridiculous. How this is becoming more like professional sports than anything else.
Yeah. Well, it was to a certain level professional already, as it semi-professional as it is.
Right.
Now it's just openly semi-professional now at this point. That's all it's changed. Can the school get in trouble? Is the question.
No, because they're not involved with Isaiah's NIL. I mean, state law doesn't allow them. Florida state law doesn't allow the school to be involved. There's other states that have the right to get involved. Other schools in other states can do that. But in this case, Miami has nothing. In fact, the only person I think who can get in trouble for this ultimately is his agent and Isaiah. The NCAA may deem, hey, you're asking to get paid. You know,
right?
You're quoted in ESPN. Your agent is quoted in ESPN saying you want more money if you're going to stay in Miami. That's pay for play. So I don't think Miami's in any jeopardy whatsoever, and I don't think John Ruiz is in any jeopardy whatsoever. He, he's told the line here, right? I mean, publicly with all these deals, announcing them and saying how much each of these kids are making, or sort of celebrating publicly every time these kids sign. But he's also following the rules because he's a lawyer and he knows the rules, and he knows in this case, if he renegotiates Isaiah's deal and it becomes public that he gave this kid more money to stay at Miami, then he gets himself in trouble.
Right. And then it becomes a real big problem now for this whole mess too. And for him too, on top of all, it stains what he's doing too.
Right. And he's not going to do that.
Right. He's got too much to lose, and he's got to help the entire program. It's not about, one young man. Dude, this is all jealousy that Pac ended up getting the bigger deal. And obviously he's been busting his ass here for the Canes the last couple of years, but he has to understand it's not the Canes paying you, dude. So it's not like there's a salary cap and a general manager there and you're trying to break up the pie depending on how much you produce and all. That's just not the way it is. You know what I mean? So,
right.
By the way, how much is he earning this year, Isaiah?
I don't have
his deal.
I don't have that number. I just know from communicating with his agent that it's significantly less. I asked how much less than what Nigel Pack. He said a lot. So take it for what it is. But I will say this: guys like Tyler Van Dyke, okay, who have multiple deals with Ruiz's company because he's also with the cigarette boat racing. I think he's one of 7 athletes with multiple deals with Ruiz. I think, as far as Ruiz is concerned, I don't think he's making 100,000, and that's Tyler Van Dyke, who's the star quarterback. I mean, you're talking about Pat coming in and making 4 times that, right? From Ruiz, and now Tyler's got multiple deals with other companies because he's the star quarterback and he's making well into 6 figures. But
that's what Wong has to do. He has to try to find other sponsors,
and I think that's what essentially what John. And the people at Life Wallet have told him, like, look, you can get other deals here. We've had a lot
have Isaiah Wong call me. We'll have the Isaiah Wong show.
There you go. You can bring him on and have him host.
We'll expand the platform again. That's what we'll do. Anything new on the recruiting side, by the way? Is Mr. Ruiz and company, or Malky, or Drew, or somebody helping out here? What's the latest recruiting side on the recruiting side?
I mean, I think there's definitely interest in wide receiver. I mentioned that on Tuesday. All indications to me are that's what the last sort of position they're looking to address here through the portal, at least for this coming season. But May 1st is Sunday. That's the deadline for everybody to get into the portal if they're going to transfer. So I think we're going to see more activity on that front. As far as the high school recruiting, they've got, I think, 5 commitments now. Miami does. They've talked to a lot of kids. I think, Ruben Bain, Jaylen Brown. A lot of their big local targets could be the next ones to commit. But it all depends on those kids. And those kids, I think, all want to take official visits probably in the summer or the fall and go to games. And if they commit to Miami now, they kind of kill that, right? Because the school's gonna be like, you're going to Miami. So I don't know where they are as far as the 2023 class. I don't think there's a lot of urgency to land guys right now and get them to commit right now. I think Mario's fine with where things are standing. In the end, it's all going to depend, like how well they do in December signing guys is going to depend on how they do during the season. So these guys can commit now, but we know that a lot's going to change between now and December. So, but nothing imminent that I'm aware of as far as, I mean, look, again, the bigger victory is that they've had all these elite kids on campus already throughout the spring, and the coaches are out on the road basically recruiting the 24 and 25 classes right now. So they're working ahead. They're putting in the work ahead for those classes and finding those prospects. But the recruiting game, man, I think it's going to be a little quiet here unless some of these local recruits decide to pull the trigger.
Right. Well, yesterday, as expected, no cane was taken. Who's the cane that's going to be taken? Is there a cane that's going to be taken?
That's a great question. I think if there are canes taken, it's probably Charleston Rambo or Bubba Bolden, and it's probably the 6th or 7th round of this draft. I know Miami's had a run, I think, since 1975 of having somebody taken. I think it's in danger this year. You know, I think there's a chance that if those guys didn't impress on their, visits to those teams or those meetings that they had with those teams, then they could be undrafted free agents, and I've said to you before, Charleston Rambo, he's a guy that didn't play a lot of special teams. As good as he played last season, if you're going to be a 6th or 7th wide receiver on an NFL roster,
or a 5th,
that's what's going to get. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be lucky enough to land one of those last spots, okay, you got to be a special teams guy.
That's what pissed me off about the back end of Miami's wide receiving core last year. Because Devontae Parker doesn't play special teams and Albert Wilson doesn't play, special teams. Will Fuller, who never even played but doesn't play special teams. Preston Williams doesn't help you on special teams. And so, what are you going to do? Tyreek Waddle's going to catch 100 balls and play special teams for you? What the hell is wrong with you people? He's coming off a foot injury. So it was one of those things that kind of pissed. And then they traded away their only returner, which is the only guy that scored on a return last year in the NFL. So it was just one of those things that frustrated me. And I actually talked about that on the back end of the draft, that if they draft a corner, running back, wide receiver, that guy has to be a stud special teamer. You cannot have a guy, again, at the back end of the running back, the wide receiver, the cornerbacks, and the guy's not a special teamer. He has to be a stud.
Now, Charleston says, and the guys he's worked with, the coaches I've talked to, were like, look, he just didn't do it at Miami, but he can do it. He's capable of it. Now, whether or not an NFL team is going to trust that,
right? You don't know.
They don't know that. So
there's no tape. It sucks.
Yeah. So in the end, that could be what gets him not drafted. And then as far as Bubba Bolden's concerned, coming off shoulder surgery, had a terrible 21 season because of the fact that he injured his shoulder. Yes, he put up good tape in 20, but it was mixed. There were games where he played great, like Clemson, that we all remember that game with bloody nose, him on the sideline and all that kind of stuff. And he's a big-bodied guy. But, again, it's gonna take an NFL team really liking Bubba Bolden and wanting him to be a part of the organization to take him with one of those late picks. But there were a lot of safeties taken, right, in the first round. Wasn't there 3 safeties taken? That's kind of high, I think, for the first round.
Yeah, I think I think you're right.
Hamilton, Scene, and the kid right before him, who I know is kind of a hybrid, the one from Michigan. I think there were three safeties taken. So who knows? I mean, there's that obviously. I mean, I don't know which teams are dying for safety help, but I'm sure we could study it. I'm sure the Athletic has a story somewhere on it explaining which teams are looking for safeties, and we can kind of check off the list, right? Of, well, maybe he'll end up here, maybe he'll end up here. But again, not till Saturday, not till late.
All right, make sure you want to keep up with Manny. Why don't you subscribe over to the Athletic? It's really cheap, man. What is it? Is it still $1 right now?
I think it's still $1. Yes. I wrote
either
about
way. It's super cheap, man. All right. And Manny produces a bunch of stories, and you get to not get only the local stuff, but you get national and some international, like a little soccer too. And a little trick, by the way, when you subscribe to the Athletic, go to Manny articles and click his name, and then that'll be his page, and you can bookmark that, and then all the articles that he puts up will come up right there on that page, and you can keep
exactly.
That's kind of how I keep up with it too. So you can do that kind of stuff at the Athletic and make it nice and easy for you. You could do that for any of the writers.
Yep.
So if you know, is Mandel with you guys?
We have Stuart Mandel with us, who I know.
All right, so if you like Mandel, because I know because I have Mandel locked in. So some of the guys I lock in
Bruce Feldman.
Save it. Feldman's another guy because he's an insider. So you know, certain guys I lock in the Athletic, and you can do the same thing. Keep them on your bookmark, and then you can keep up with anything you're interested in. What are you working on? What are you working on, bro?
Oh man, obviously this NIL stuff. At some point, I'm going to write a story. In fact, Ruiz invited me to come fly with him next week because they were going to sell it. They're filming a documentary. His company is of the NIL deals. He's going to fly to pick up the Cavender twins, who of course are coming to play for the women's basketball team. And then Nigel Pack, he's going to go pick him up, I think, in Atlanta. So you asked me, he's got this brand. Have you seen this plane, by the way? The 767, this fully refurbished. I think it's got a bedroom. It's got like 4 showers. It's ridiculous. This is not a 767. I think the New Times did a story on it. But it looks ridiculous. Anyway, he asked me to come on the plane with him to chronicle kind of this NIL moment. So that'll probably end up happening. Although I got to go to Phoenix as well in the middle of all this for some college football meetings with the Athletics. So we'll see how I work out the timing. But don't
you feel sorry for Manny? Jet setting around, hanging out in John Ruiz's 767. God, your life is so bad, man.
I know, it's so rough. And then besides from that, I mean, I caught up with Jafari Harvey this week, Malik Rozier, who's working with Tyler Van Dyke. There's a couple of different projects that I'm kind of working on here behind the scenes amongst all the NIL and the draft, which I've been helping with the draft. I wrote a Jermaine Johnson story. So I'm busy, man. I'm not just Canes, but I'm a busy guy here.
Always are. If we're not busy, we're dead, baby. If we're not busy, we're dead. We always got to grind. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro and catch his work there at The Athletic. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Enjoy Vegas, brother. Take care.
You got it. There you go. Manny Navarro and our Canes bear, Miami Hurricanes.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.